Okay, everybody, here we go. It's me, Gregory Mannarino, Wednesday, July 26, 2023. Here we are on the cusp of another action or inaction, depending on your perspective here, by world control. And I am talking about the Federal Reserve, which is the government. Central banks run the world, period, the end. So yes, we're going to get a hike today. No doubt about it, at least in my view. We're going to see how this market responds. If you were to look at stock futures today, the relative strength of the dollar today, the 10-year yield, cryptocurrencies, gold and silver and crude oil, everything's kind of flat, at least right now. It's 8:06 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think we should expect this early on here. Look, there's always this kind of a holding pattern before world control opens its mouth with regard to what it's going to do to all of us. And, it's pretty simple here. This institution, public enemy number one, central banks are a curse upon this world, a curse upon every single one of us. Why we need central banks to dictate our lives. Maybe one of you out here who is smarter than me can let me know, because I simply don't understand why we need these things, which are determined to, run everything, own it all, and buy it all. I mean, think about this. Since the inception of central banking, here in the United States, the Federal Reserve, the U.S. dollar has already lost, are you ready for this, 98% of its purchasing power. 98%. Meanwhile, this institution is allowed to continue to function. How does that work? You see, it's interesting to think about how the Federal Reserve has a price stability mandate. They are mandated to maintain some kind of price stability. How can that be if they've already sucked 98% of the purchasing power of the dollar out of it? How can that be, being that we have inflation which continues to rise and will not stop? It's because, again, they're the government. They can do whatever they want. And you and I, we're just along for the ride, unfortunately. And things are going to get a lot more interesting moving forward. So as I said, the market right now is in a holding pattern. We'll see where this goes. We're going to cover this all later on my live stream. So the Fed decision is expected. We know what they're going to do already. Okay, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But again, it's not really what they do. It's what comes out of its mouth afterwards. It being yellow-stained Jay Powell thing, vomitous mess that he is. And he's going to, obviously use his typical distractions, deceptions, and mostly all the questions are scripted. Just watch how he responds. It's amazing to see how it works out. If you are unlucky enough to catch this, it's so funny. He asks a question and then he looks down to see what the answer should be. Not all of it. And I'll admit that. Not all of it is scripted, but about 90% of it is already scripted. The questions have already been submitted in advance. The answers are all scripted. So that's pretty much where we're going with that. So on the back of this, I want to cover some news here that I don't think is going to surprise anyone. How many of you remember when we had this whole regional bank meltdown, which is still actually going on, but you're not supposed to know that. And we spoke about right here on this blog how this was going to lead to a consolidation of the banking system. Well, that is going on here, and it's not getting any attention, at least from the mainstream media that I can see. But the Bank of California is going to buy PacWest Bank, and their stock is surging right now. Again, more consolidation, more power moving forward as they are clearly on a pathway to roll out a new central bank digital currency, a one world cross-border monetary system. That's where we're going. I think that's pretty evident. And what they got to do first is kill the current system, and they are in the process of that. While I'm on the topic I don't know how many of you recall, maybe it was Sunday, we addressed the issue of central bank issued currencies in their current form, and how it's not just you and I anymore who are saying that central banks are trying to kill their currencies, but even major institutions are saying the same thing. I mean, it's in our face here. The relative strength of the dollar is going to remain high, but that doesn't mean the dollar itself is a strong currency. Every single currency, they're all losing purchasing power moving forward, and this mechanism is going to continue and continue and continue, because again, think of why. I mean, it's always a cause and effect. A cause and effect. Everything in life is pretty much a cause and effect here. If we know that global debt is going to continue to balloon, debts and deficits are going to continue to balloon, and we know for a fact, an absolute fact, that central banks are going to continue to inflate, there's no way, these debts and deficits, they're never going to be paid back. They're not even meant to be paid back. A central bank's power resides in only one thing. Only one. What is it? What's Greg going to tell you? Exactly. Their ability to inflate. And they're going to continue. Speaking of that, how about this? So this Inflation Reduction Act, it's unbelievable how they word these things, is expected to add trillions to the deficit over the next several years. Now, if they're adding trillions of dollars to these debts and deficits here, how is that? Someone here explain to me how that's not inflationary. Again, it's diluting the overall, or it's inflating the overall money pool, and that is massively inflationary, quite obviously. All the spending, all the things that we have to fund now. Again, we're in a full-on war that we are funding, and the billions are going to, tens of billions are going to be trillions to fund that war. Obviously, that's inflationary too. And the fact that the Federal Reserve, along with other central banks, think about this. In order to keep rates suppressed, and they're going to continue to do this for as far as the eye can see, it requires that they get into the debt market and buy the debt. Okay, that's inflationary as well. There's no free market here at all on any level. And being that the debt market is the most rigged aspect of this entire freak show on the most grand scale you can possibly imagine, well, you can get just an idea of where this is going. Anyway, so there's a couple of other things that are just laughable. So yesterday, I want you to think about what I'm about to say. Yesterday, we heard from the International Mafia Fund, the IMF, and they had outlined how they have now upgraded global economic growth. Meanwhile, in the same breath, the IMF is now warning of recession. We've heard a lot of warnings lately from the IMF and the World Bank. Once in a while, the truth comes out. But clearly, look, if you want to look at leading economic indicators, which we cover all the time here, you want to look at the inverted yield curve that we have, which has preceded every single recession, depression, and yet to be defined what's coming throughout history. This is a fact. I mean, without exception, this has happened. And where we are now, we've never seen this before. This is to an extreme that is just, frankly, off the Richter scale. And we are marching clearly into a severe economic downturn on the back of other things that are going to go on here. Let's just outline that real quick as well. Severe currency devaluation as central banks are in the race to the bottom to kill their currency, suck more purchasing power out. You see, the Federal Reserve isn't happy with the fact that they have sucked out 98% of the purchasing power of the dollar. They want it all, so they can now introduce a new system. You see, it's all coming together. It's all falling in place. So here's another nice piece of information for you. So mortgage demand continues to crater. Meanwhile, the price of real estate is now rising. So the whole theory of supply and demand, well, there you go. That just got thrown out the window here. Because again, inflation on every level is going to continue to rise. Although you can count on what I'm about to tell you to come true. You're going to hear every manner of lie, deception, and everything else trying to convince you right out of the mainstream propaganda ministry that things are getting better. Again, what do they do all the time? They try to convince you that what you're seeing with your own eyes is not real. This is a phenomenon, again, that goes back time immemorial. It's just not going to stop here Anyway, so as I said, today's a big day for this market. Let's see how the market reacts, but more importantly, let's see how risk in this market plays out. Right now, the MMRI is just about where it was yesterday, sitting at about 245. That's 5 points below our first line, red line in the sand, 250. Let's see where this goes. I had posed a question in my free newsletter yesterday. Where do you see risk in this market going? Most of you believe, just reading the comments over there, that the Mannarino market risk indicator is going to fall today, which would be obviously bullish for the stock market. And as I've been telling you as of late, if they can keep risk in this market at bay, you can expect the stock market disconnect between reality and whatever else is going on to get much, much greater. Price action distortions to get much, much greater. Energy prices are going to soar higher. Commodity prices are, moving down the line, people, you need exposure to commodities. I can't tell you this again in another way. All right, look, I think that's about it for now. So I will see all of you later for my live stream, 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please have questions for me. We're going to cover them, as many as I can during the live stream. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a freak show on an unprecedented scale today with this whole Fed thing. All right? Love you a lot. Please share the video. Get it out there. Comment. I will read the comments. And if you got something out of this video, please, those thumbs up are so valuable. It lets the videos be seen. I already told you this a million times. So, those thumbs up are appreciated, and I appreciate every single one of you. That's the truth. All right? I'll see you later.